All right, welcome back to another video with Atomic Token Games. I'm Jake Steppen,
This is not Wade. My name is Joe.
and today we're doing a review of Dice Miner. All right, so before we hop into the video, guys, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. Once we hit 500 subscribers, we're doing a giveaway of Quest of Valeria. That'll probably be in our next video, so make sure you're part of that so you can be there. Wade is on vacation this week, so we've got Joe with us today.
Howdy.
Yeah, super excited to have Joe. Joe's been like my inspiration of a true board gamer for the past few years, so he's a great guy. We're glad to have him.
So Dice Miner is a 1 to 4 player game where players are going to be assuming the role of dwarves. And during gameplay, it's 3 rounds, and we will be drafting various colored dice from this beautiful cardboard mountain here. And everybody takes a turn essentially grabbing a dice from the top of the mountain, or an exposed dice essentially. And this is, like I said, a dice drafting game. It's collecting, like set collection sort of thing. So for example, in scoring, the white dice are going to be scoring for you depending on runs that you have, like 1 to 4, 1 to 5. The black ones can have like negative effects, but if you pair them with the green dice, they can end up giving you positive points. The yellows depend on kind of majority compared to other players. The blue dice give you rerolls, so all of these dice kind of do different things, and so that's a key choice that you're going to make.
Yeah, each round you score your points. Every player's got their own unique dwarf that has kind of some unique abilities that can help you out. But it's a pretty simple game. You just grab a dice and then you get your points. All right, so our first category is table space and setup. What do you think, Joe?
So probably one of the more simpler games to set up. Honestly, you take it out of the box, you put the cardboard mountain down, pour some dice on there, and give everybody a hero. And that is the setup. So for me, I'd give it a 1.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I agree. This game is very simple to set up, super easy. I'd give it a 1 out of 5. I think it's just, there's not really anything that is simpler. In card games, you have to shuffle. That's honestly almost more than this game. So anyways, it's just a very simple game. Doesn't take up a lot of space on your table, and it's a really quick one. All right, so our next category is replayability. What are your thoughts, Joe?
So when I think of this game, you're obviously not going to get a huge depth of strategy. A lot of it is dependent kind of on how the dice come out. But there are, from one game to the next, you have a hero that guides your decisions a little bit. And it's also dependent on which dice come out during a particular round. And so it's not to say that it lacks any sort of decisions. I would put it right in the middle, probably at a 3 out of 5 myself.
Yeah, I agree. I think this game, it's dice. There's a lot of randomness, and so that kind of helps it be really replayable because you can't just say, I'm going to do this, because sometimes you just can't. That dice isn't there. And we actually today just played a game where in one of the rounds there was like 8 green dice, and so that completely changes your strategy. And anyway, so there's a good amount of replayability. I agree. I think it's definitely a 3 out of 5, pre-average, but you can have a lot of fun playing it. It's a quick game, so you can sit down and play it 2, 4, 5 times with a group of friends, and it'll be fun the whole night.
Yeah.
Okay, next category is complexity. What do you think, Joe?
So, when you look at the box on the shelf, you see a really big box. You might be expecting, oh gosh, this is going to take several minutes. It's honestly, the explanation, 2-3 minutes or so, if that. It's really just understanding the different types of dice and how they score. And so in terms of a game that is super complex, I'd say no. I think younger children could play with it, 6 or 7, and pretty easily understand it, all the way up to adults. And so for myself, I would probably put it at a 1.5 out of 5.
I agree with that. I think this game is not super complex. The rule book is like 1 page long. When I explain it to people, it takes me 10 seconds to explain that on your turn you just pick a dice from the top of the mountain. That's basically the only rule. And then everything else that comes as part of this game that adds to the complexity is just understanding the yellow dice, you just count up the number of gems on them. And the black dice attack you unless you have a green dice and that sort of thing. So I agree. I think this game's a 1.5 and complexity is pretty simple. Next up, we've got strategy.
All right, so it is a dice game, so you can expect a fair amount of luck. But that does not mean it's devoid of any sort of choices. Your hero kind of gives you, like I said, a path on what you want to do. And from round to round, there is definitely some decision making based on what dice are there, how kind of the rolls shake out. So it's nothing heavy. Don't be expecting that. But there is some fun decision making. So for me, I'd probably put it at a 5 or 2 out of 5. How about you?
Yeah, I actually agree completely. I was thinking 2 out of 5 for strategy. It's kind of like you can have this idea like, oh, last game, the green and black dice combo got the most points. That's why I want to do this game. And then it's dice, it's random. What comes out of the bag is random. And it's like, well, I can't do that. So you kind of have to change your strategy as you go. You kind of have this overarching, like, if there is a black or green, I will take it. And then here's plan B, plan C. But everything is good, basically, no matter what you take. So it's kind of like you're just trying to maximize what you got with all the luck. So I think, 2 out of 5 is definitely a good score where there's not a ton of strategy, but it is there. And that's kind of with the dice. It's just the right amount of like luck mixed with strategy, I think. Okay, next up we've got art style and theme.
So the game is called Dice Miner. You're supposed to be dwarves. Do I really feel that when I'm playing the game? There isn't really much art to even look at. I mean, there's the art on the hero tiles.
That's it.
But I honestly don't even pay attention to it. It doesn't either negatively or positively influence me for the game. So it's a pretty tacked on theme for me. So for me personally, I'd probably put it at a 1.5 out of 5 just because they at least tried with something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think for art style and theme, I'll give this a 2 out of 5. Like Joe said, there's not a lot of art in the first place. Like, there's 6 of these little tiles with the dwarves, and the fact that it's dwarves doesn't really matter. You could have just called it dice picking and just not had a theme. It would have been basically the same. So the theme's not super strong. Art style's not the strongest ever either, but I don't feel like it's necessarily any sort of negative, because the whole point of the game is the dice, right? The dice have cool little pictures on them, I guess. That's kind of a plus for art. But I think 2 out of 5 is this is, if you're super into the pretty games, this game is, not the prettiest, but it's fine. All right, now we have component quality. What are you thinking, Joe?
So there's not a lot of components really to speak about. We have the dice, we have these hero tiles, and then we have the mountain. And that's pretty much what you're going to be getting in the game. However, I think these dice are really nice. You can't tell, but they're engraved dice, each of these. And then the mountain is, I think, really cool, how it holds up the dice. And the hero tiles are solid. So I didn't have any complaints with the components. It's not going to be the most super deluxe game you've ever seen, but for myself, I'd probably put it like a 3.5 out of 5.
Yep, I agree with that. I think it's definitely above average for sure. And I agree. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I think for me, the dice have unique faces. So there's little dragons engraved in this one. And there's little mugs of alcohol and different things. So they're really cool, unique dice. They're not just, like regular dice that they just said if it's this color it does this, So at least they got the unique dice. The mountain's really cool. The gravity helps it stay in place, so it's fun. You can like pull the dice off and it'll slide around and everything. So that's pretty cool. But it's like we said at the beginning. It's a small game. It's not like there's a ton of stuff. But they worked hard. They did really good.
Yeah, what it includes is really solid. So.
3.5 out of 5. All right, so now we're on our last category, the fun level while playing the game.
So I think for me, this is where this game really excels. I am very partial to dice games in general. I love just the feeling of rolling dice, and then just having a whole bit different types is awesome. And so between rounds, like there's moments where you roll dice and you don't get what you want. You're like, ah, or you get exactly what you want. And you're like cheering or whatever. And so for me, I think it's super fun. I'd put it at a 4 out of 5 myself.
I agree. I also give it 4 out of 5. To me, one of the funnest things is when you have the mug on your dice. It's useless, but you can throw it at somebody. You say cheers. You roll the mug at them, and then you get to pick 2 dice that turn. So it's kind of a fun little aspect. And then, just because of all the luck involved, and like, man, I really want this dice right there. And so you're like, I hope they don't take it. And then if they do, you're like, crap, and you're re-rolling all your dice. So there's definitely a lot of just fun moments when you're playing, which I think is really awesome. All right, and our overall score. What are you thinking, Joe?
So I've been thinking about it, where to put this one. I am pretty stingy with kind of my higher scores. We explain what it is. I mean, don't expect a huge, grandiose game, but it's very, very fun. A fun game that is approachable for kids and can still be fun for adults. It doesn't require a huge rules overhead. There's just a lot of like really fun moments in it. And so I think I'm going to land at a 7 out of 10. And it's just overall a super solid game that I would be happy to play again.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm going to give this game an 8 out of 10. I really like the kind of mix of the luck and strategy that happens. To me, that's a really enjoyable thing, and the dice, it's just fun to roll, and I don't know. I really like this game. I'm usually more partial towards some of the more Euro-style games where there's a lot of thinking and rules. But this game, to me, is one of the games that doesn't have that, and yet still kind of hits the mark of like...
Sometimes it's fun just to gather some friends, pick some dice, roll them, and just have a good time.
Yeah.
So.
That's it for Dice Miner. It's a great game. Definitely go try it out. This is one that Wade and I played at the board game convention earlier this year, and ever since then we've been looking for it and haven't been able to find it. It's been super popular, and I saw it at the game store the other day and I bought it just without any thought. I was like, oh, there it is, I'm grabbing it. So it's one that it's really addicting to play. It's really fun, really easy to pull out. Definitely look out for it. And be on the lookout for our next video that we've got coming out. Like we said in the beginning, we have our giveaway coming next video, our Quest of Valeria. Make sure you're subscribed for that. If you haven't yet, hit the like button. Share this with your friends. We're trying to get the word out and grow the channel a little bit. Thanks for watching.